filter, and then after you've taken that off, then there's the actual infrared filter, and then underneath there's another piece of glass, and I don't know what that is, but that's right above the sensor, and the sensor is underneath that. So to scrape off the CFA array, you'd have to first do that, and by that time I was done. I thought, okay, I'll just settle for a modified camera. I already have one, but I've got another one, so it's this guy here.
Yeah, you took some good photos with that thing.
Yeah, it's a Fuji XA1. It's got a really good sensor. That's why I got it.
Is that a micro four thirds sensor?
No, it's an APS-C sensor. It's a system camera. So this is just the body. You can get them on eBay for $125 or so. So they're not very expensive.
What's the largest ISO gain that you can use?
6400.
I think I have Olympus OMD, what do you call it, EM5 Mark II, and I think if I go over 3200, it doesn't look very good.
Yeah, no, the Fuji works best at 6400 actually. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that.
Pour a light in the room. Let's see, I gotta make sure I'm not missing anybody. There's probably some people waiting here. Admit all, 3 more people. We got Mike and Bob and Joe. Hello, everyone.
Hello. So how's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Good. How about you, Joe? What have you been up to?
Oh, actually, not very much, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Looks like we might get some dry weather the next couple, I think Thursday, Friday, looks less humidity.
Yeah, that's what we need is less humidity and more wind. Just exactly.
More wind, yeah, right.
Is the wind good, Joe?
No, I hate the wind.
Okay.
Plus, then we're setting ourselves up for more fires. Given that we've had 3 drops of rain this fall, maybe 5 towards the foothills. But I know last year we had a nice fire for Thanksgiving.
What was that Montecito, the Thomas fire? Was that December fire? And then we had January floods?
Yeah, well, that was 2 years ago. Last year we actually ended up with Chuck and Pat taking refuge in our house, along with their 2 cats. And then we had 2 other friends along with their 2 dogs. So we had a full-on party going.
Was that a fire that came down the 154 or something?
No, it was, forget what that one was called. You could see it from our front yard. It started up on top of Camino Cielo and worked its way down. It was a nasty one. And then it rained a few days later and we were worried about flooding. So many fires. I should be able to remember the name of that one. But then there's, I don't know about you guys, but I can't remember squat anymore.
I think that one was called the Next Fire.
Well, you just remembered that word.
The next fire?
The Next Fire. There were so many of them.
I know. Too many.
Yeah, when I was only in Santa Barbara for 6 years, and we had like 5 or 6. It was like a yearly occurrence. Yeah. At least one. And the last one was the one where I was just the next exit away from the mudslides to check out Montecito.
I think that was the worst one, though. That was by far the worst one.
Which one?
The T fire.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
That was a bad, and followed by those floods.
I've got videos of it coming down, towards the mobile home park and all that.
Yeah. And we thought we got through the fire okay, and then the flood killed people.
Actually, the first rain didn't do anything people got lulled in a false sense of security. And then they had the real hard one about a month later. That's when it all came down.
Yeah.
It took
yeah.
it.
So
I used
Tom,
to
are you
write up
twins?
Yeah, I'm kind of doing a front and the back.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of a scene from Spaceballs.
Hmm,
You guys are showing you have good taste if you don't know what that is, though.
I know what it is. John Candy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember why I turned on that other computer. I was going to test something.
Actually,
So does
Tom, it's a
anybody
bit
have any
unnerving
topics?
seeing you.
We lost Jerry too.
Yeah,
We did. We did. He'll be
Yeah, we
back.
did.
yeah, there he is. I can admit him. He's coming back. There he is.
All right.
Hello,
I have an
Jerry.
interesting.
Hi. Having some trouble there.
All right.
I had
Well,
this
I'm not-
interesting.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna stay this evening, but I did want to kind of show up and say hi to everybody.
Hello.
So good to see you all. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving
Mhm.
and
Hey.
take good care of yourselves.
You too.
Hey, you too.
Have
Alrighty.
your 4,500 calories of at
Here,
one
here.
sitting.
Yeah, is that the limit? 4,500? I'm not sure I can stay under that, but I'll give it a shot.
They say the typical person eats 4,500 calories.
And that's just the apple pie afterwards.
Yeah. Phew. All right. See you guys later.
See ya.
Later, Joe.
Okay.
Thanks for checking in.
My
Tom, do
My
I see you
sister-in-law
both
is
front
having-
and back?
Yeah, that's me.
How do you do that? Two cameras?
Two computers running. So, I sent the email to all the members, 170 emails plus another 30 emails. So probably 200 people got notified of this meeting tonight. So
They probably don't even
shows the,
remember the club.
Well, I had a very interesting Barlow experience this week.
oh,
Oh, what's that?
Right.
2 weeks ago, on my C11, I decided to put a bar to increase the vocal length 2 times. And so I was using my ZWO and I took it out.
Which
And
one?
I
Which
was
one?
looking
If you don't
into it
mind.
going 178.
Okay.
It's not the uber planetary. It's what it was. Hills had 178 that was open box. And so I got it for about more than half price. So, hey,
Yeah.
it was to replace my 2U cam, which is still working, but there's no drivers for Windows 10 for it. But that's another story. So I'm looking at it, and I don't see any reflection. Okay. So I stick my finger in. Nothing there. I have this wonderful 4,000 Barlow that I've been using for all these years. And now the lenses are missing.
What's the 4,000?
Have you
what's a
ever had-
4,000 Barlow?
It's a 3-element Barlow ×2.
But what does
It was one of their better ones.
what does
It's
4,000?
a 4,000 series. 4,000 series was the
Oh, it's just
moniker they gave to the better eyepieces back in the 80s and 90s or whatever. It's before they started with the ultra wide angle, so I need to get another Barlow. So the first thing I did was to try and take a look inside the C11 to see if there was any, as aerospace people would say, FOD, for an object to breathe and see it. So it must have fallen off somewhere else when I put it on there and didn't even notice. So
Oh, that's the one your lenses fell
You
out
know.
of, right?
yeah, it's a Barlow. So I need to get a new a decent Barlow now. So I still get good images, but they're just half the size.
There was a guy on YouTube that was talking specifically about the 178, and I think he had either the same telescope as me or very similar, like an 8-inch Newtonian. And he said no matter what, he could not get it to focus. And he used like all sorts of attachments and everything. And he said maybe somebody else. He goes, I contacted the company would not. They were like, either not responding, or he said, you should be able to focus it. And he just could not get that thing to focus. So that when I've looked at the models of thinking of buying one, I was deliberately going to avoid the 178 just for that reason.
What is the 178? Who makes that?
That's ZW, it's ASI 178.
ZW. It's
ZW.
it's a 6. Yeah, it's a 6 megapixel camera.
Okay.
I think it is.
Oh, so
And
it's a camera, it's not a Barlow.
Doesn't have
Yeah,
the
yeah.
smallest of
You
pixels.
can't get that. That's not
No,
uncommon.
no, it's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no! I can focus with a Barlow. It's just that this Barlow had no lenses in it.
Yeah, got that. I meant
The
Bob
lenses fell
talking-
out.
He can't. So he was talking about a guy that couldn't get it to focus.
Oh,
Yeah, this is separate from the Barlow. I'm just talking
Right.
about the ZWO camera. He
Right.
said no matter what he did, he close, far, he could not get it to focus. So it was just kind of
Yeah,
strange.
that's not uncommon. I have some cameras that when I get them up there, it takes a special adapter or tube extension, or some way you have to do something to get it to focus. It won't you can't just drop it in like an eyepiece and get it to focus. Sometimes I have to drill a whole set of holes in the bottom of the tube and move my main mirror up a little bit.
Yeah. Normally though, I think you would think with their technical support, they would tell him, what back focus distance you're going to need for his setup and everything. And apparently they weren't that helpful. So,
a lot of these companies, that even ones we deal with, they're not technically astute. They're just salesmen. So I've had real problems with, for example, Orion, where I bought a hand controller and it didn't like to be unplugged and out of order. It had to have a certain shutdown sequence. But my trick is, as I walk around in the night, I step on a cord and yank it out, and then it doesn't go through the sequence. It's just shut off. So you have to reload the driver inside of it because it scrambles that. And I couldn't get it to reload. I couldn't get it to download. And so I sent it up to them and they tried to do it and they sent it back and said, we can't do it either. So if anyone wants that drive unit.
wow. Wouldn't give you a new product, huh?
which brand
Yeah.
again?
What's that?
Which brand? Which
It's sort of a generic, it's an Orion.
brand?
It's an Orion fit to a Vixen Great Polaris DPS or DP2 or something mount. It's common, other people use them. Bruce Murdoch in the club, he has the same drive unit. And he and I both tried to download the software and get it installed. We couldn't do it. So it sits out there all scrambled, and when I try and do the 1-star alignment, it points down to somewhere and like a gopher hole or something. So it's just totally unreliable. It does track, it does run at side rail rate, but the go-to function is totally screwed. So I'm going to get rid of that whole thing.
Question, could it be, does it have a battery in it?
No.
You have to enter the
I have to,
latitude,
I have a
longitude,
12-volt
and
battery I sit on the ground
and
next to.
time.
I plug into that.
I had
No,
mine
no,
mount.
what I meant was,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say on initial setup, it does it doesn't have any permanent memory where you have to enter your latitude and the time of day.
It does have permanent memory.
Because if you had the wrong coordinates in there in time, it might just
Yeah, it
think
could. I've tried all the
that's where
logical
the stars
things
are.
to figure out. I did take the drive,
Hmm.
the polar axis apart one time to change a battery in that because it had an LED that would illuminate a reticle to do polar alignment. And when I put it back together, maybe I got a ring or something switched 180 degrees in it. So something's off, but I think it's the electronics. I think the memory's screwed. But it does have a non-volatile memory because every time you set it up, you have to put in the date and time, and then the parts where I'm located, site 1, it remembers that.
Did you do a full factory reset by any chance? I mean, sometimes that helps. I had to do that with my AVX a couple of times.
That's what that full factory reset. That's what we were trying to do the
Okay.
software download to do.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get it to do it. I think it's got some hardware damage because of power in it, because the power was cut off and something didn't get treated right when it shut down. So I think a capacitor burned out or something like that. Would be my guess, but I haven't opened it up to see.
I had trouble with my AVX mount, and it just started to do some really strange slewing, and I thought, oh man, what did I do? And then just on the thought, it was plugged in, but there's that declination cable that you have to plug from the lower to the higher. It was plugged in, but I unplugged it and jiggled around and moved it, and that was it. It just wasn't making contact. So it wasn't able to control. It thought it was controlling the declination, and it wasn't. So
Yeah, when I got my AVX, I had a broken deck cable, so I took it out of the box brand new and tried to start it up, and nothing worked. Well, what worked was that the thing kept slewing in one direction, and then I wanted to stop it, and it didn't go anywhere. So I had to turn it off and then go slew in the other direction. Eventually, I figured it out. It's yeah, I suspected that was it. So I crimped a new cable, and that worked. Just a one with a phone cable type of thing. That's kind of ugly. So then I took the original cable, cut a piece off, and then crimped a new part on it. So I had a nice flexible cable, and it works without a problem.
I had to send my AVX mount in for, I think it was a broken deck cable. It just and they repaired it under warranty.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Who makes the AVX?
Celestron.
Celestron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the thing with Celestron is if you call their support, then they always say, oh, just send it in. And of course that's a disaster because you have to back it up and send it and wait and so I decided I'll try to fix it myself, and I was successful, thankfully.
Yeah.
But they are good. One
That's
time I had my AVX lock up, and I still don't know exactly how that happened, but it was at a star party from the company. Actually, I was going to bring all the gear, and we were going to go out to the desert, and I was setting up, and it was a bit stiff, and I turned it a little further and got stiffer and stiffer, and I couldn't turn it in. I think it was the deck axis, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I ended up sending it back to Celestron, and they fixed it. No, it was fair. I mean, it took a couple of weeks, but they did the job.
Did they tell you what the problem was?
No, actually, no. It's all done through email, and you don't really get to talk to anybody. So I would have had to do work to find out what the problem was, and I didn't do it.
Did the mount, the scope, and the controller have the same serial number? It could be that they just go, new one.
Well, as long as
that was like the old
okay.
Commodore 64s,
I don't know.
I've had one successful project here. I converted my camera. So over the weekend.
Now, what did you convert it to? Mono?
I wanted to, but that was one step too far. So this is a Fuji X-A1. That is the camera that I wanted to convert, and I have good experiences with it. I already have a converted one, converted by LifePixel. They charge $275. But it's a black camera, and I used to have a red one, and I tried to convert that one, and I failed. I broke the ZIF connector, and I sent it to a buddy in Kenya on the astronomy forum, and he could use it for spare parts, and he used it actually to scrape off the CFA filter for target practice. So it was used for something. And I wanted a red color back, so I found another one on eBay and got it, and it's this one. Never did anything with it, so I decided to convert it. And that's
So this is the one that you were going to try and scrape the Bayer filter off of, right?
yeah. But you know, it's already difficult enough to open the whole thing up and get to the sensor. It's just you have to do amazing things to get there. So I think it took a whole day to do it. Just reading up on it carefully, not breaking anything, because it's very easy to break things. I recall that from last time. And eventually, I had it all set up. I had shoved the SanDisk back in there, and then the battery, and bang, the battery doesn't go in. And I open it up, and I see that I mixed up one of the screws. It was a screw that was too long. So in order to get that screw out, I had to take the whole base board off again. So I had to desolder some parts and just to get the damn screw out. Anyway, I switched the screw and put it all back together again, soldered it back together again, and it worked. So I was happy about that.
So are you giving up on grinding off the Bayer pattern?
Yeah, it was difficult to get to. So first of all, the first piece of glass that you see is the dust filter, and that's held in place by just a retainer. So that dust falls out, and it's fine. And it has a piece of wire on it for the sensor cleaning or something. I don't know. I suspect that's what it's for. The next one is the infrared filter, and that one had a hard rim around it on two sides that I looked at it for an hour. I could not figure out how to remove that. And so I took a screwdriver and just wiggled it out, causing a lot of glass splinters of the infrared filter itself. But it worked. Eventually, I got it off and took the infrared filter out, blew the glass away, and okay, fine. Make sure that everything was clean inside. And then there's another piece of glass, and I don't know what that is exactly, but it was not the sensor directly. So there's one more piece that you have to get off, and that was just too deep, and I didn't want to mess it up. I felt lucky. I thought I was being lucky if I could put it back together again, because all these connectors are pretty tricky.
So the camera has no IR filter in it then?
Right, I just took the IR filter out.
Okay.
So it's not ideal because eventually, officially, you need an IR block filter to block the longer wavelengths. Otherwise, they don't bend. You know, they
don't
refraction
focus.
such that it doesn't focus in the right place.
Yeah.
But I did take a picture of
it. It doesn't focus at all.
Oh, focus?
Yeah, it doesn't focus at all if the IR filter's out.
Well, if you want to use it for regular photography, you mean, right? I don't.
Well, if you have a refractor and you point it at a star, you cannot focus the star because the visible light comes to a focus at a different point than the infrared does. So
right.
Well, only for refractor.
Yeah, that's only for refractor. A reflector with no spherical aberration in any of the lenses. Like if you're doing prime focus, so it's just mirror to camera, you'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I took a picture of the tree outside, and there were parts that were very razor sharp. I took it with a telelens, and so I have good hopes that this will actually work.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, it was fun. It was a $125 camera. It's a good kind. I mean, I have one already. That's what I take my pictures with. I like DSLRs because it's so convenient.
The only thing you need to do is cool it down. Figure out how to cool
that's
it down.
not really. Most cameras, at least the newer cameras, don't get super hot anymore, so it's not a huge problem. Oftentimes, I take images without doing darks even, so yeah, it's okay. But it's a good camera. I like it because you can take a shot and you see it directly. I don't like to have to hook it up through a USB connection to a Pi and and then load it up to be able to see something. It's nice if you can just see an image directly on the LCD and focus with it and all that.
I had a camera once about 10 or 15 years ago that came with two chips, and one was a mono chip and one was a one-shot color chip. And you could open the camera up and replace the chip. It was on a little DIP. And it was kind of nice, but it wasn't high resolution. It was in the early days of CCDs. I eventually sold it.
Yeah.
Was that a camera that you were going to use for astronomy, or was it for regular
Oh, that
photography?
was an astronomy camera. It was made for the telescopes. It was made by that English company. I forget its name.
Altair?
What's that?
Altair, maybe?
Yeah, it could be. I don't think that was it.
Hmm.
Too much time has passed and my brain has forgotten too much.
Well, I bought I was watching a bunch of
ATIK.
different,
It was
different,
ATIK. ATIK. Oh, is that what you were saying?
no, attic is what you're, yeah, attic
Yeah.
is the one. Yeah. Okay. I bought a filter, just arrived today. It's a CLS filter, and it's the SV Boni, which are like cheaper ones, but it's supposed to be a light pollution filter and pretty good reviews. So it goes in the Canon camera, and so lo and behold, I get it, and then I have the lens off the Canon camera, and I try to put it in there, and it fits right in there, but it won't hold on. It didn't, it has little clips in the bottom, and I'm like, damn, what is it with this thing? So I watched another video of a guy using it actually in the same camera. It's like, how is he doing it? And on the bottom, it has these, it's kind of like wings that come out. And I noticed mine were sort of pushed in more. So I grabbed them with my fingernail, and you could bend them out a little bit, even though they're plastic. They're like a hard plastic, but there's not really a slot there. It's that it fits in. I don't know if you guys have ever used those EOS filters, like Astronomic, makes them, and a bunch of other companies make them.
I do have astronomic filters, but they're inside my CCD camera.
Yeah, well, same kind of thing, I think, where they clip in there. So there's a little flat spot, and I took some, it sounds bad, but I took some painter's tape and made a tiny little loop out of it and pushed it on there, because when these other guys do it and you tilt the camera forward, it stays in, and to get the filter out, you have to get it out with your fingernail. But mine would, I tested it, it would just fall out, and I know the projection, what do you call it? Eyepiece projection tube, would hold it in there, but I still wanted to be in there secure. So I put a little loop of tape, even though I bent those two little flares. So anyway, I think I got it in there properly now. So
What was the name of the, Bob, what was the name of the filter?
it's called CLS, and I just found out what it stands for. It's something you guys probably know. It's like cuts light source or something like that. It's meant for cutting. If you look that up, mine is an SV Boni, but that you can look up Astronomic CLS filter, and it's just sort of a general light pollution. And for a low cost filter, they're supposed to work pretty well. That you can really, that's the screw on type.
So it has thread on it, right? So couldn't you use the thread?
Well, that's that type. I didn't get that type.
It's got one that
Oh,
I'll
You've
show
got
you.
the one that fits inside the camera,
Yeah.
all right. Okay.
right?
Or is it one meant for a filter wheel or something like that?
So I'll get mine here. I know I'm small now, but so it looks like that.
It fits inside the
Yeah, it fits inside
camera.
the camera. Before, this is the DSLR, so it has the lens reflex. It fits in front of that mirror. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
You can see
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
And so now I've got it.
That's
So
so that you can use your normal camera lenses.
right. And all I want to do is just use, because I don't want to do the direct prime focus with the camera to the thing. So I put this on it. I can still focus it. This, if I want to, I can put the eyepieces in there for eyepiece projection.
Mhm.
But I thought this will be a good thing. I looked up the Bortle index for me here, and I think it's about a 6. I don't know if that's what you guys.
Yeah, that's about right. I think I'm a 5.
Yeah.
The trouble with that filter is, I believe it's a sodium blocking filter. I was just reading the description, and of course now we have all these LCD lights, LED lights. So that's wideband. So it actually, those kinds of filters are going to be relatively useless. I think you can try it. I mean, see what it does for you, but unless you have sodium lights,
It'll work better for high pressure sodium lamps than the LEDs.
Well, luckily in my neighborhood here, there aren't that many street lights. There are none on my block, but the ones that are out, nearby, I think are the sodium type. They're that real yellow
Yeah, the
Okay.
type.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
But again, I'm getting the light pollution from over the hill from downtown Santa Barbara, and that's all sorts of light coming in there. But, for a relatively discount filter, I thought, I'll give it a try.
Yeah, some of them work. I've got this filter here. I haven't tried it yet, but it's an Optolong L enhanced filter, and it's mostly for
I've got that.
2 wavelengths for blue and for red, for H alpha and O3, I think. So if you want to take, like, for instance, the veil, it would be very good for the veil because it has those colors. I've seen other images with it, but usually they have a bit of a bluish sheen on it, and the stars look sort of pinky bluish, and it's not really all that pretty. But I'll try it because it seems to work very well on moonlit nights.
Yeah, that's the thing. They I guess if you get the right filters, you can kind of ignore the moon, and well, I guess if you have narrowband filters, really.
That I found the only filter that lets me do that is an H alpha filter.
Okay.
For city lights and the moon. Of course,
Yeah.
you have to take very long.
They
You're
have
breaking up.
those ones that are a combo, either 3-band or 4-band narrowband filters all in one, like Triad makes one. So those are interesting to me. I don't know if anybody's tried those, if those work at all.
Yeah, so the one that I have is close to it. It's a
A
duo
lot of
band.
money.
Oh, that's
But
a dual? Is that HA and oxygen or something, or?
I believe so. Yeah, I'd have to look, but it is a filter that is used quite successfully by others, so that's why I picked it.
Yeah.
I've got both the Optolong
Sorry.
Pro and the LE enhanced. So a lot of times I just use the L Pro. It's a little bit nicer on galaxies and stuff like that. The extreme works a lot better for the gaseous nebula, and
Yeah. Well,
the extended stuff.
Yeah, the L enhance is for emission nebula. It's not for galaxies. It would be useless for galaxies.
Yeah.
That's why then.
Well, part of galaxies.
Sorry.
Part of galaxies where they have emission nebulas in their galaxies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. In general, it's not for that.
By the way, it just popped in my head. Did you guys, I happened to see a little news thing on, they were looking with a Hubble at a globular cluster, and I can't remember, it's NGC, and it's like 4 digits, 6, starts with 6. But looking through it very carefully in these stars and then doing the redshift on the stars, they discovered a new galaxy through the globular cluster. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
They said it again, and you broke up. I'm sorry. I got a bad internet connection.
Oh, did I break up?
I have a lousy connection, so sometimes it doesn't come.
No,
through.
I'll just say they with a Hubble, they were looking at a globular cluster, and they, looking at it carefully, the data, they found a new galaxy looking through it at the stars. So kind of interesting.
Is that the one where they had an ancient galaxy that they found inside the Milky Way? Is that the one there?
They found a couple of remnants of galaxies inside the Milky Way.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah,
I haven't seen that article, so I can't comment on it.
Yeah. Anybody see the Falcon 9 launch?
Oh yeah, we saw it from my backyard.
Yeah.
So it was very dramatic. I didn't take any pictures of it, but I did write it up in a short article that'll be in our monthly newsletter for December.
Okay.
So about a paragraph. But it's very nice. It's harder to,
Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah. So it's harder to see that way up high in the daytime. I prefer the night launches where it's all real vivid as it gets in space.
Yeah.
So did you get this yourself, Tom? Is this?
Yeah, I went up to Lompoc on Saturday morning. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you saw the booster. I saw that flame of the booster landing too. I don't know. You must have seen that, the one that came down at the base there.
I saw that too.
What bothered me was that it was going straight overhead, and I was on a tripod, and I could not get my tripod to to, I couldn't just move my camera back on the tripod. I had to lift the whole tripod and try to follow it.
Uh-huh.
And then I eventually started zooming in on it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I
Yeah.
wonder if
That's
when they launch, that they shoo people away from the metro site on the ocean.
But we were on Ocean Avenue, they call it in
Um,
Lompoc, going towards Surf Beach, and that we're down there less than a mile, I think. And then they started coming along the highway patrol and said, "You guys got to back up. You got to leave." So evidently they let us in too far, and then they said, "Hey, you guys got to go back half a mile or so." And so I found a little farm road, a lot of people. There's 1,000 cars around there,
Yeah.
and eventually found
Yeah.
a spot
Yeah.
to watch this from across the farm fields, which was a good view. It was a nice view, except when it gets right overhead,
Oh, yeah.
you'll see the power lines are kind of getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having trouble here. I think I'm trying to take the camera off the tripod so I can lift it up.
Yep, that's probably looks like what you're doing.
Yee-haw!
When I take pictures of that, I focus on a hill, on a mountaintop that's very far away, and then I take my lens off autofocus because everything's going to be at infinity, and once you're there, it's set.
Yeah.
Well, I have another problem. I'm on a zoom lens, and it tends to fall back. It's not sticky enough to stay in place.
I
So
have one of those too.
another thing I struggle with. So I had two cameras going, but I just grabbed this one, and this power line is like directly overhead.
Yeah. Oh, there's second stage separation there.
Yeah.
Did you see the fairings come down at all?
No, I
don't
just saw the second stage and the first stage separate, and then the first stage come down.
Neat.
So let's see, I'm not sure which one is the second stage. I guess
Up to the top of the picture is the first stage. The lower one is the second stage. That's heading for space.
it seems like I just saw a couple fairings come off that second stage, maybe. Couple dots came off.
Yeah.
I don't see them completely. Now we're kind of waiting for, I'll probably run out of video here. No, not yet.
Oh, it's doing those little
down.
bursts. It's doing those little slow down bursts.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's got to fly back
Jeez.
toward Vandenberg.
No, my assumption is that when it breaks a sound barrier, it's probably like 10 miles up, and then it takes 5 seconds per mile, so like 50 seconds, maybe higher, maybe it's higher, because the booster landed, and then we heard the sonic boom.
Yeah, we had that about 5 minutes later or something.
Yeah.
It was quite a bit later.
because it's coming in at supersonic speed, then it finally slows down.
When they were showing the video on YouTube of the booster landing, right when it touched down, the sonic boom went off, and so a group of friends were texting, and they weren't technical, and he said, "Oh yeah, I heard the sonic boom from the booster landing." He thought when it hits the ground, it creates a sonic boom, and it's like, no, that wasn't that. That was from. I gotta say though, I sent a text to friends, and I said, I was in aerospace for years and years and years, and if not that long ago, if you had briefed people in a room that you have a concept where a booster, it's going to land itself, you would have been laughed out of the room. And it's like, here we live in a time when we're doing it. It's just unbelievable.
You're right. And I did ask that one time in a technical group, and they did laugh me out of the room.
Yeah.
But I remember the old 1950s science fiction black and white movies where they, from the Earth to the Moon, where they landed on the moon by doing exactly that. And a lot of the old science fiction showed the concept of the things landing backwards. Even Willy Lay's book with Werner von Braun about getting to Mars showed them landing backwards and standing on their rear ends like that.
Well, don't the Russians, when the Russians were landing on land, don't they use retro rockets to land?
No, they use parachutes.
It's only parachutes. So.
Well, and when you think of the concept, you think, well, think of all the extra fuel you got to carry up there with you. But it's really not that much because, you know, mostly what it's doing is falling, and all you got to do is, you know, slow it down near the end, and it's got
Yeah. And
the
it
little
doesn't,
paddles and
it
everything.
doesn't weigh anything compared
It's an
to
empty Coke can.
liftoff, so you can.
Right. Yeah, it's not carrying the second stage or payload or anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Then it goes behind the foothill. Can't see it really land. You know, slightly out of focus.
Very
Too
good.
bad.
Excellent video.
Now wait for it. Okay, that the sonic boom, and people hit just at that point. So anyway, that's what I did on Saturday morning. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, very nice.
How do I stop share?
I thought they had forbidden the congregation, the usual place where people get together. I read about that. So you must have picked a special place where
You
they.
pulled off the road, and that created, and there's no parking on some of those highways. That's why the highway patrol came along and was so nasty.
Right.
Well, and it was a safety thing. They said we were just in a safety area that we had to back out. That somebody let us in, and they kept letting more people in, and so it was terrible.
Were you on the base?
No. We're just on Ocean Avenue. Yeah. Just maybe less than a mile outside of Lompoc, where the residential area ends.
Back in the early 90s, they launched one of our satellites from Vandenberg, and we all got invited up there. So we were up there in the middle of the night, and the rocket took off, and it went up about, I don't know, 50 feet, and then it disappeared into the marine layer, and that was all. I never went to another one. I watch them from my backyard.
Yeah, my friend and I just went for not just, but I mean years ago, went for a GPS Block 4, I think it was, launch, and we both had the LA Air Force Base badges, and so they just let us in. It was pre 9/11 and everything, so we just drove on the base, and the closest we could get was about a mile. We saw the thing take off in about, at arm's distance, about an inch, and then just poof, it's gone into the marine layer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't anything to see.
I've been up there twice at Vandenberg, and the rockets didn't go off.
Oh.
They just canceled the launch.
Yeah, that's
tough. This is my first successful one.
Yeah, happened to me one time too. I only went once and no success.
Yeah.
But then I found that you couldn't see it from Santa Barbara as well. I saw the one about a year ago or so, and there were it was also a landing. So I thought it was pretty cool. And I watched it from San Marcos Road.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
I think I got that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
From my home here in Goleta. So what else is intro? Did you guys see on my email? I mentioned there was a $85 4-inch reflector telescope.
I looked at that. Yeah, that was pretty nice.
That one, it didn't tell what the F number was.
5. Yeah.
F5. Okay, so it's a 4 1/4 inch telescope basically, and those used to be made and sold when I was a kid in an F10 thing for really cheap. And that F10, there's no real difference between a parabola and a sphere, so you can make those things on a machine just willy-nilly. But at F5, you've got to get the parabola right. So I would wonder and that's got to be a hand operation unless they've made some advancement I don't know about. So that would be suspicious of that. I'd have to see what it looked like to look through it.
If you go down to the comments, they had pictures of the moon they had taken with it. That it looked
well, when a mirror doesn't come out very well, it's sort of like a less than a quarter wave. We all call it a moon scope.
Yeah.
Anything will make the moon look good.
Yeah.
So
I
don't know, maybe it gives people a good start. So
yeah, that's what it sounded like. The comments, people bought them for their kids, and the kids, their first time looking at stars, the moon or something. So that was pretty good.
When this group used to meet at the museum, right after Christmas, we'd get several people that would come over with similar inexpensive things they bought for the kids, but they couldn't get them to work.
Oh yeah.
Some of them were misaligned. Some of them just had the lens cap on. So all sorts of things.
And some of them had parts missing.
Yeah, that too.
Is this the Bird-Jones reflector?
Speaking about inexpensive scopes, one of the people in my club got the 5-inch Bird-Jones telescope. You ever heard about that?
No.
Where it's a spherical primary, it's f4, and inside the focuser is what in effect is a Barlow that compensates for it.
Yeah, I've heard of that
And,
design. I didn't know it was called a Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard of-
Bird-Jones, and the issue is that you have to have things properly aligned, and it's not very alignable.
No, it's got a very small secondary, so it's very high. It's higher resolution because the diffraction from the secondary is reduced.
Yeah. Also, it's got a circular mirror, so the alignment is not all that critical, right? So if you have a newt, a parabolic newt, then you have to have the
But it has to be on axis with
Yeah.
the
Sure,
focuser and the mirror.
Yeah.
And that
actually
degrades things,
the
and also the
original-
I
spacing.
think that's the one I saw was or heard about was a Newtonian design. So it had a small
Yeah, so
flat elliptical mirror, and off to the side, and the focus was actually between the center of the tube and the edge of the tube. So you had a transfer lens at the bottom of the eyepiece tube, a positive transfer lens. And that's how they got away with a very small secondary. Maybe it's a different design than what you're talking
but this one, it takes an f4 and makes it into an f8.
Oh, okay.
So uses a telenegative lens to compensate for the spherical aberration.
It looks bigger than
Yep,
5 inches.
That's but that's the original one.
Oh,
It was a
Oh.
16-inch.
Not bad for $85.
yeah.
No, not that one. No,
No,
go to
no, I know.
Celestron.
I know.
Well, the Bird-Jones scopes that they sell, they're usually not very good. They're known to be not very good, but they're not actually true to the original design. The original design had I think it had the corrector inside the scope, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look it up here. There was a story to it, but the ones that they sell now is Bird-Jones. It was originally called a Jones Bird, and it was
Jones
a good
Bird, yeah.
design actually. But the ones that they sell nowadays is just cheap crap that doesn't work. So try to avoid the scopes. And this one looks like a Bird-Jones because it's got a very short tube. I'm not quite sure. It is an f5, right? So maybe it's not. Is it a parabolic one? We talked about that.
It's the intent was to I think that's got an f3 mirror in there, and it makes it an f5. The guy designed it so that you could have a 16-inch telescope without stepping on a ladder.
Yeah.
So, like a lot of other things, good design can be made pretty shoddily,
Yeah, you can screw up a good design really easily.
Well, in this case here, things had to be aligned very well, and look at the Ritchie accretions; they have to be aligned super well also, or else they don't perform.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to tell Tim to make a Bird-Jones telescope. Just make his 8-inch spherical and call it good, and put a corrector in the focuser.
Here's this one. I don't know. Am I sharing this okay? Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
No,
So it's got that connector for the phone and everything.
Did you click on share screen?
Yeah, I did. Hold on here. Oh, just got to go share. Sorry about that. There we go.
Yeah.
There's the scope.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know. It
that's the one
looks
you
pretty
sent
good
around.
for $85.
Yeah.
Well, they don't. Somehow they must provide you that thing for the cell phone to strap on.
Yeah, the bungee cord has said it's included.
Well, it looks like it's an actual case. You can see there's a little case there for the phone. The phone's, strapping onto it.
Well, they have to make it so it'll work with any cell phone, I suppose.
Yeah, that's why it's rubber bands.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so
that's great for kids, though. You know, wow. I mean, it'd be a great one for kids.
It's good if you want to take pictures of the moon, but not much else, I think.
Yeah.
well, how do you
So
track
what
with
the
that?
guy did was he bought it. The guy bought the scope from Goodwill online for, he said, not a few bucks, and he took it completely apart, threw away the mount, and made a Dobsonian mount out of special cardboard. I could show you the picture if you want me to, but you know,
I'd like
it's
to
not
see
very
that.
big at all. What? You want to see it?
Sure.
Okay, let me try something here. Let me get it first.
So while he's doing that, a little side note, I bought a collimator and I collimated my telescope for the first time. I taught myself how to do it. So
Okay.
that was kind of
What
cool.
collimator did you buy?
I bought the Astromania little one. It was like $23 or something like that.
Mhm.
It was on a little what do you call them? Little disc, battery, hearing aid type battery. But and I kind of thought, mine's from the factory, and it's been bumped around a little bit. I took the scope out to the desert, but there's that real simple test where you just take all the eyepieces out and put your eye in there and make sure your eye is about in the middle of the mirror. And I thought, well, that looks pretty good, but it was pretty far off when I did it. It was like, needed both secondary and back there, but Zundite. So anyway, it answered a question for me too on that Celestron reflector Newtonian. I thought, how do you even get at the adjustment screws? And you have to remove a plate in the back there to even get at them, because I want to, what Tim was talking about before of the mirror cooler, I'd like to make one of those for mine out of a computer fan. So I wanted to see how to get it. That whole works there. So now it's just 3 tiny little, Phillips screws take that out. So.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Some
That
stiff
looks
cardboard.
solidly built.
Wow. Yeah. Masonite or something there, huh?
Yeah.
And no, it's cardboard with a waterproof backing on it.
Oh, wow.
Teflon.
That's
You
your
got a
housing
tiny
development
lazy
there?
Susan. Pardon?
Is that your housing development there?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's a housing development with no real, they don't like real walls, and there's hardly any backyard to most of them except for mine. I've got one of the larger lots. But he actually took pictures of this. I don't know if I have it here. Yeah, there's a picture with it.
Nice.
Well, it looks good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with his, and of course, this is a cell phone that he took it with.
Mhm.
And the Chinese are on the way to the moon now.
Yes. They just launched yesterday.
Yeah. Gonna bring back
Yeah.
a stack of rocks.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Their cell phone cameras are among the very best sensors that's made nowadays.
Hmm.
Some of them have in excess of 14 megapixels,
Wow.
and they're super good.
So you're talking about collimation. This is a Hotech collimator. Let's see if I can see this one. And it can be 1.25 inches or it can be 2-inch. And Joe Doyle actually donated this to the club to sell to somebody. Yeah, I can get the better view that way.
Oh, we can see it. I can see it.
Yeah.
Raise
we
it
can
up
see
a
it.
little bit.
I want to go up like that. Yeah. So, and then you look down inside. It's got the laser, of course.
Is that a 2-inch? Looks like a 2-inch.
It's both.
Oh,
It's
okay.
both
Okay.
too. And then you have to squeeze there's rubber rings that go around it, and you have to squeeze it. You crank down on one of the knobs here, and it squeezes the rubber, so it
So
sits
the wide one.
supposedly in the center of your focuser. But Joe Doyle was saying that he thought it kind of had too much slop for him. He couldn't be consistent with it. I think these go for like $150, but he
Yeah, I've
donated.
got one of those.
Yeah, I've got one. Yeah, so this is, but
Yeah,
Joe
I've got
just
one of those too, and I find they work quite well.
so Joe
I have
didn't
the-
like it.
I have
So-
the Howie Glatter. That's a really nice one actually. So
Yeah.
it's a
He made
solid
good
piece of
stuff.
aluminum that slides really snug into the tube, and it was expensive, but this happened on the weekend at the RTMC that I had just won a $2,500 telescope as a door prize that my 127 millimeter carbon fiber Apo. So the next day I was I thought I was in a good mood, so I went there and I got it, and I don't know how much it was. It was probably around $100 or so. I thought, okay, nice collimator. And then I went back to my tent and I realized, oh, wait a second, I don't have the bullseye thing. So I went back to the bullseye, which is basically a piece of plastic with a small lens in it. And that was another $70 or something.
Oh no.
Altogether, it was, but anyway, I never regretted that purchase because having a nice collimator, I mean, this is a really cool type of thing. You guys want to see it? I can
Sure.
get it. Okay, I have to go to another room. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, with mine, I thought there was a lot of slop in it, but that was the focuser and just the whole Celestron thing there. You know, that you try to get it as tight as you can, but just with a little bit of finger pressure, it's throwing the collimator off. So I thought that's not the collimator, and maybe I'll buy another one. But I just
Your Celestron, is that a catadioptric or is it a Newtonian?
Newtonian.
Okay.
It's the C8-9, I guess,
Okay.
8-inch reflector. But I mean, it's an okay scope. It's not, nothing incredible. I kind of really bought it because I was buying that AVX mount, and they had a sale going. If you bought a telescope with it, they really discounted the telescope. So for another $200 or something, you got the telescope with the mount, So now I'm starting to buy things that are more expensive than the telescopes. Just kind of funny.
We'll spend more on the accessories,
Yeah.
like a few good Pentax
Howie
eyepieces.
Glatter here. So this
Oh,
is
yeah.
this is it.
Yeah.
Ah, that looks nice.
It's a really nice piece of aluminum. It's got a little button here, and that activates the laser. So
Oh yeah.
the red
Nice
laser.
laser too.
Yeah, it feels so nice and solid, but it's really snug into the tube. And this is the tub lug here. This thing is a gigantic piece,
Wow.
and it's got a lens in it. So it's basically a Barlow laser that was invented by Niels Olof. Carlin, not Niels Olof Carlin. I don't know if you know that name, but he died a few years ago. He's known from Cloudy Nights, but yeah, there's a tiny little lens in it. So the Barlow laser reduces the errors a little bit. I don't know if it's work. I mean, if you do the first stage of the collimation right, then you've got the laser beam right in the middle of the secondary. The idea is that if it's not right in the middle and it reflects back, then you multiply the error by 2. If you Barlow it, then it forms a little light cloud around the donut, and the donut reflects as a black disc, and you'll see that on the other side. So that in that way you've got like a light locally at the parabolic reflector, and you don't multiply the error by 2. So that's the theory. I don't know if it matters a big deal, but it's a Barlow laser at least.
So Hank, what was the name of that? What was the name of that collimator?
Howie Glatter, and Howie Glatter died a few years later, and now they sell this thing for like $250 or so. It's ridiculously expensive.
But you mean the aluminum was a Howie Glatter,
Yeah.
but the black object, what was that?
The plug.
It's also Howie Glatter. He calls it the tub lug, but he sells it in 2 parts to make more money.
Very good.
But it's a good piece of equipment actually. So
Mhm.
no regrets here.
I went out a few nights ago, and it looked really nice, even though it wasn't supposed to be that great of seeing, but it seemed really calm and everything. And I I shot multiple videos of Mars with as good a focus as I could get, and whatever I've got. And I thought, oh, these are going to be great. And I take it back to my computer and I do the PIPP and then the auto stacker 3, and they were pretty awful. What was going on? There must have been a lot of high winds. There were all these high winds going on. Here at the surface, it seemed great. But then when you actually looked at the video, it just looked awful, So it's like I got nothing usable out of it. But I was out till about 11:30 or 12 shooting Mars, and I go, damn it, I still don't have good shot. So,
what kind of telescope did you use?
Yeah, a lot of times.
8-inch reflector, the same one. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. With the
A
Barlow?
lot of times the Mars will jump around.
Yeah. I did. I didn't do the Barlow this time. I did the. It's like a 20 millimeter, with the eyepiece projection thing onto the the EOS T3i, which is not making Mars. It doesn't make it big enough. I've done the Barlow, and that it's better, but my Barlow isn't any super high quality, so I just get a little bit more, fuzzier and everything. And I do have a 9 millimeter. I've tried using the 9 millimeter just straight up with the eyepiece projection, but I can't get it to focus. So then I put the it into the Barlow, or use the Barlow with that to hopefully get focused, but then I just can't get it centered. I can't find it, so it's like I haven't been successful with that yet, but
too small of a field of view.
Yeah.
I have that problem too, all the time.
Yeah. I bought a 40 millimeter.
And I use the
eyepiece.
Celestron.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I used the Celestron finder that came with this C11, and that sucker never keeps its alignment. And you need to be dead nuts on there when you use a Barlow with a camera, because the field of view is super small.
Yeah.
Super small.
So what are we seeing here, Mike?
Okay. Off of Staten Island Road, that brown part is actually part of the levee. Okay, this is below water level in the in the delta. This is near where I live. It's about it's a 30-minute drive, only because you're driving on top of the levees, and you got the geese, and there's the geese and sand cranes. There's another picture, yeah. But we get those every year.
All right.
I was trying to get to your Mars
There's another.
picture.
That's a nice picture of Mars.
Oh, that's nice. Huh.
No, these aren't from Mars, that's for sure. But
This was taken November
yeah,
4.
okay. Yeah, that's my last one. It's not so great, but it's
Not bad.
It's okay.
Better than I've shot.
Yeah, you're getting jaded there.
I've got to go over this data again to get some more out of it. But basically, I got most of the planets. So for a while there, I thought, that was during that scene, you can tell. And I've got to go reprocess that. Yeah, Solus Lacus. That's probably the best version I got of that.
What optics? What scope did you use for that?
This is a C11 with the lensless Barlow and my ZWO 178 camera, which is it's not the best planetary, imaging camera, but it's better than a kick in the head. So I think the best ones were like the old ZWO 120s, but they ran out of the chips. Those were the little tiny sensors with the tiny pixels. And so when doing this, I try and take as many frames per second as I can. I shoot for, I try and get at least 150 frames per second. That seems to get me better. And I always turn the gain down to the lowest point. I've got other, I've done a lot with, you know, higher, and it just looks, it looks terrible. These cameras, they get really noisy the higher the gain they are. Yeah. And I think part of my problem too is this year is the first year I've been shooting from inside a dome. And so you've got dome scene to contend with.
So Mike, what happened to your 14.5?
There it is.
Oh, I've been using it. Yeah, I've been using it. I still have to rebuild it. I'm gonna go and order some Teflon for the bearings because they're the ones I have are sticking a little bit. But, so
You'll have to give us some photos of your assembly of that 14.5, Mike.
okay.
So I'll show you guys another thing. Another thing I bought. This it's on the way. It's sort of back ordered, but I don't know what your guys' opinion of this is. But I got tired of the regular finder scope I had on mine of having to look down this, you know, your head right against the tube and everything. So
Yeah.
So I wanted to get this off axis, you know, one that with the right angle thing here. So it looked pretty good, and surprisingly, there weren't a whole lot of right angle ones out there I could find, you know, to compare with. But so
I have two right angle finders. I don't have one, not an illuminated one, but one came with my Z12, and another one I had already. I forgot what it came with. Yeah, they're fine. I still prefer my my Telrad though. If I have to look it up, I have a Telrad. I used to mount it on the Dob, but so that's where the base was. But I adjusted it such that I can just, without the base, just attach it to the tube, wrap a piece of tire tube around it, and it works. It works really well actually. So I can put it on any scope that I need.
So I'll ask you guys a question. So if I had this and I have the mini dovetail and I have one of those on the optical tube, but I was going to use another one because I have a guide scope I want to put, and then I could put it in the same slot, just take this off, put the other on, but I kind of want to have them both on there. Do you guys drill holes in like a, you know, you say you have a Celestron Newtonian telescope. Do you mount these things yourself, or how do you do that?
What I do is I mount it on the counterweight bar. Now, I'm probably the only person in the world who does that, but it actually works. I did it for my AVX. And if you go to that German shop, Telescope Express, they actually have an adapter that lets you do that. So if you have like a small 50 millimeter guide scope, like the very common one from Orion, the SSAG, that's the one that I have, it is short enough that you can get away with that. So if it's too long, then it will hit the legs and so on. But this works actually just fine. And the nice thing is, it's also part of counterweight. So instead of putting the weight on the scope side, which is actually a bad thing, you've got it on the other side. So it's weight-wise, it's a better deal. Anyway, that's just a thought.
Okay. I guess I'm not picturing that. Is that out at the end of past the weights is where you have it attached here, the end of the tube for the counterweight?
So the weight goes a little bit higher up. So it's actually on the outside of that. So you attach it to the far end of it. Yeah. That's where the adapter goes. And if you don't have an adapter, you know, you can get you can fangle something yourself. It's not that difficult, you know.
Yeah. I just didn't want to drill holes in it if I didn't have to.
Yeah, I mean, just a piece of wood and a hose clamp or something like that, that would probably work. Just a few screws that you need to tighten, that should be good enough.
Yeah.
Doesn't take that much.
Well, they sell a thing too that's like
finder scopes and for my guide scopes. I hooked them up with dovetail plates. I don't drill holes in the tube of the telescope.
Well,
I have some kind of a clamp that holds the telescope on the mount, and then the clamp has a dovetail plate receptor.
yeah, I mean, there's the mini dovetail receptor for the finer scope on the scope there, but it's got two bolts that bolted to the tube. So I'd need another base, if I were going to put a second one on there. They do have one that's like a V, where it's like two mini ones coming off of one mount on the telescope, but it looks a little rinky tinky. So I didn't want to do it that way, but
Even if you do drill holes to mount the base of your finder, you want to mount them on something sturdier than the tube. So usually, I think you have a ring around the back end of the telescope. Oh, that's right. You have a Newtonian.
yeah. No, I mean, that's
Yeah,
how they
don't
did
worry.
it. That's how they did it at the factory for the one that's on there for the finer scope. It's just mounted onto the tube. So it's got a little backing plate on it on the inside, like a little, I don't know if it's a piece of metal or something that it, so you don't, when the two bolts are attached to the tube, it doesn't, crush the tube or something, I guess, but hard to picture, but yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I was going to ask too, if anybody's been looking up and found any. I haven't found that many Black Friday specials, at any of the sites that sell, astronomy equipment.
Not Black Friday yet.
So can you see this? This is the adapter that I was just talking about.
Okay.
So this goes on the on the AVX.
Oh wow. Okay.
Counterweight bar,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got a few Allen screws here, and this is just a Vixen mount, and you can slide the SSAG auto guider straight in there. I think that's probably the telescope service is the only one that sells this, I think. So it works very well for me.
Wow.
And what slides in there? The
guide scope. The guide scope.
Yeah, that's on the top. What's the bottom hole?
Goes on the counterweight bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the end of the counterweight bar, so it's just like that.
Okay.
So hold it. So, and you use that for what? What do you use that for? Auto guiding.
Auto guiding.
Really?
I don't. Yeah, I don't want to have the auto guider on the same side as the scope. So otherwise, I'd have to get more counterweight, and it's just bad for an AVX because you have to kind of skimp on the weight that you put on it. It's a lightweight mount.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Who's got more photos or more stuff?
I do. Well, let me just. I'm trying to get something to rotate here for a second. There we go. Oops, I did it the wrong way. One more. Okay. Here, let me.
So Hank, where did you get that counterweight adapter?
From Telescope Express, and I just found the link actually. If you want, I can forward it to you.
Sure.
Probably put it in the chats.
Well, I'm on my laptop here, and we're talking through the Android, so I'll email it to you. Is it okay?
Well, you could use the chat. You could put it in the chat section.
Well, okay. On the chat of Zoom, right? So then I first have to bring up Zoom on my laptop. Let's see if I have Zoom here. Let me just check.
I see. You're running the Zoom on your Android cell phone.
Yes, the Droid is fantastic for this kind of stuff. Let's see here. Always now open. Okay, launch meeting. What? It's trying to open something.
I appreciate all you guys checking in and talking about all this telescope stuff. I'm very interested in everything people are saying. So I'm surprised that more people didn't show up tonight. I mean, it's
Let
Thanksgiving
me,
week.
let me show you a picture of one of my telescopes. Oh, Mike is sharing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my COVID junkoscope, or I should say the trash scope, because basically it's been put together with bits and
Oh,
pieces
neat.
and scraps, cardboard, and
Hey, Tom, can you
let's
let
see
me in?
here if I can. Let me try and get a.
So Mike, you called that a COVID
Yeah.
telescope?
My COVID trash telescope. Yeah, because
COVID.
I finished it. I finished it when during the time of COVID. Let me get another couple of hold a second here. Come on. It's not letting me. That a full screen so that I can get to the other ones. Here, let me 1 second here, and I'll show you how I put it together. Because it took me a while to put together, and
Damn it. Oh, Hank. Sorry, Hank.
Yeah, no problem.
this desktop local disk and for Doug and okay, so this is without the base. It didn't have it. This is what I did with star testing. Okay, and this is bits and scraps of piece of wood. I actually have a second disc. That's what's in there. It's not the original one. Okay. So this is interesting. You notice how that slides because I wanted something that was kind of universal for all sorts of mirrors. So again, you can see scraps of wood, and that's me putting together the mirror cell, okay, out of junk, literally junk. The long metal pieces are from packing materials for patio furniture, and the short things were from a scrap piece of extrusion that I built for another project. So this is sort of like I kind of put it together, and that's one of the points. Wire hanger. Sorry, Betty, but I used the wire hanger. So here,
Did you use any duct, Mike?
just-
Did you use any
it's sort of
duct
like-
tape?
No, I could have, but no. But as you can see, it's not pretty. The things aren't, one of the issues is I don't have a drill press, so I'd start a hole and it the drill would walk off. So yeah. Whoops. Oh, there's where I live. Okay, here's my
You
observatory.
can't see, at least I can't see any pictures, just
Can you
you.
Yeah,
see it?
Mike, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, let me go back here. Okay, sorry.
Do we lose Hank?
He's
He's
trying
working on
to.
his audio.
Hey, yeah, two computers is a bit complicated. So Tom, I just sent you that link in your chat area, but I also left the meeting, so I don't know if you still have it.
Yeah, I got the
Okay.
link. Yeah.
So
Okay.
okay, so you saw this, right?
No,
Cool.
Can you
No.
see it?
yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
all
yeah,
new.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. It's scrap pieces of wood,
Cardboard.
various, and the cardboards from the packing cases for my next dome.
Huh.
I had it laying around for
So your license
eons.
plate is for
the-
Robin, huh?
For my wife, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see right there, I made it universal so that I can go and use just about any type of telescope mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So again, short pieces of scrap wood,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so I laid it out again. Okay,
Sell.
the long pieces are the, you know, stuff
Cool.
that I had laying around that somebody wanted me to throw away because it was garbage. And I go, no, I think I could use this, some project, you know. I have a second mirror blank that I can use. The sling is stainless steel hose clamp. So, you know, not very pretty. I wish I had a drill press. Like things could have come out a lot better. Like more scrap wood, 1x1s that I had laying around. And there's my pivot point out of wire hanger, you know. So 2x4s.
Looks good.
So yeah. So this is where I live. Okay, this is Montezuma Hills, where obviously it's not now. That's like beginning of the year. My observatory. The famous bridge that was in the news that was stuck up because it lost its transmission. If you remember back about a year and a half ago.
Never heard about that.
This is, yeah. Yeah, the bridge was in service for like about 50 years and then the transmission went out. So this is, that's Mount Diablo. There's a telescope, there's a club that meets there. So here's me on my 24-mile, I guess that's it. Yeah, that's my, this is from Simi Valley. This is one of those where you set the camera up and you go all night and you go to sleep and you hope that the sun doesn't come up and burn a hole in the sensor. You
You did pretty well on that.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's, a dress would have been handy, a good saw would have been handy. I mean, basically, this was built by, you know, primitive stuff, but it works. And actually, it keeps the collimation pretty well on there. So I'm going back to this here. I've got a this is actually rebuilt. I've got a newer picture, but I can't find it. That base has been lowered by about 6 inches. I've got the turntable underneath it, but I need to get Teflon. I tried to get away with a plastic cutting board. Works pretty well, but it's still too grabby. So I got to go and fix that up. But,
well, I'm going to
anyways,
check out till next Tuesday. I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Good talk.
9 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go check out too, and I'll see you guys later.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Very good information tonight.
Here's
Hank, I guess we're checking out.
Okay. All right.
here's there's one raw video processed with pip for the thing.
Oh.
You can see it's not too great. And then this one, let's see, where did I do it? This one is with the Barlow, and you can see it's like there's not a whole lot you're gonna be able to do with this.
Wow.
So anyway, I just
Next
showed that.
time-
Tom, you were saying you like to see all the pictures, so I thought I'd show that real quick.
Yeah, that's we got to go through that. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing that. So
Sure.
maybe Friday. Friday, it looks like the scene's supposed to be better on Friday. Have to maybe I don't know about Saturday. But
Yeah,
coordinate.
I downloaded PhD 2 and I still haven't set up my guide scope. I've got one of the ZWO little guide scope cameras. So I was thinking I'd do it after this, go out there and do it, but I don't know if I got I got the energy now to do it. But I'll go outside and take a look, and it just
Yeah.
seems like it's going to be involved. So I want to do that like right after sunset.
The clear sky chart doesn't show very good scene right now. I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I go out and it doesn't look unclear, but I don't see that many stars. So there must be a haze up there or something. So
Or maybe
Yeah.
windy or something. I don't know.
yeah. Oh,
All right.
one. I'm sorry. One last real quick question. When
No
I
problem.
do the 2-star, you guys both have the AVX. When I do the 2-star alignment, and then usually it gives me one I can find, or Deneb or something like that, and I can see it and everything. But I have trees in the backyard, so I don't know where a lot of the stars are. I guess I have to learn that. But some that are obvious that are there, it doesn't give you in the list. Of like. So I try to do 2 stars, and I try to add like 3 more for extra calibration. But do you know what that is with a Celestron thing with a go-to, where it just doesn't show you stars that are there? Like, I don't know, Vega or something like that. There it is. And you can't use it because it's not in the list of what it's showing you. So I
can't remember when it shows you a star to go to, can you just go up and down and choose another star?
Yeah, you can. You go back and then it gives you the list. But I'm saying that and they're alphabetical. And then the one I know is there, it's not in the list. So I go, well, I think it's looking for one further away or something that, so it doesn't give you that one. But so that's just frustrating. I guess I could email Celestron and ask them about that.
I think there's been a couple stars where they spell it a different way. And so
Yeah.
then it's not alphabetical. So you kind of lose it.
Well, I've reverted to just kind of picking one at random and then see where it slews to, and I go, nope, that won't work. And then you go back and you go pick another one, slew to it. Nope, that won't work, until I find some that work. But it's a long process. What I was going to do was copy down the entire list next time I do it, and then just locate where all those stars are, so I know better which ones I want to go to. But
Good idea.
yeah, anyway, that's kind of frustrating with that setup with Celestron, where, it's like, I mean, I don't have totally open sky, there are a lot to the east. I have a big tree in the east, so I just can't see most of the stars are in the eastern sky there. So anyway, I thought I'd ask you guys about that. But
Can you see Polaris?
I can see Polaris. It oddly enough, it doesn't give that in the list. And I can only see Polaris in part of the backyard. And I was thinking I was always going to be limited to set the scope up there, but now with SharpCap Pro, with the polar alignment you do there, and these other ways, you don't need Polaris. I mean, you need it generally north, but so.
Well, you do need the Polaris region for SharpCap, but you could do the polar alignment first and then try to do a 1-star alignment. Usually that, if you have a good polar alignment, which you need to have anyway, you might as well do it first and then just do a 1-star alignment, and it should get you there, I think.
Well, I don't have that great of a polar alignment, and I haven't spent time doing it because it's just a pain to get down there and look through the little tube, and it doesn't come with the polar scope down in there for the AVX mount. That you have to buy that extra, and I didn't buy that. So I'm just putting the laser and getting it. So for the Azel, when you do SharpCap Pro and you do the polar alignment, it does the plate solving, and then it says, okay, and it draws a line, and then it says, move your Azel till, you focus on this star. And it's not necessarily Polaris. And that's what I want to try. I haven't done it yet. I've just seen.
Yeah. That should be very accurate. And and then your 1-star alignment, I would do that, do it that way. Then you don't need to go to,
Do you do the SharpCap first then? I guess you do that first before the Celestron?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Bob, you've done the all-star polar alignment trick?
You mean SharpCap?
No, using the Celestron.
Oh yeah, I have, and that got better. I I think the Sharp Cap Pro thing is just going to be super accurate, you know, compared to that. So
Yeah, I think
yeah, I
that's
have
it.
tried that.
I think that's helpful. The Celestron polar alignment.
Yeah.
You know, you manually somehow it matches up. It's pretty neat the way that works. I'll have
Yeah.
to try that. Sharp Cap Pro, is that expensive or?
It's not that bad. So the Sharp Cap is free, and then I got Sharp Cap Pro, so I could do the polar alignment and a few other things. It's $15 a year, you know, you pay. So I thought, I'm going to pay $15 and use it for a year. If I don't like it, I won't renew. But just for that, I thought it looked mainly that guy. I really like his videos. The Astro Backyard on YouTube. A guy in Canada named Trevor Jones, and he's, you know, he's an amateur, but he's been doing it a few years. And he said, he goes, once he used that, he goes, I want to use this all the time. He really liked it. So I thought that was a good recommendation, I thought. So
Yeah, I like some of those YouTube videos. Informative.
yeah.
I think
So-
I've got to turn my Celestron CGX mount, you know, it's this heavy duty mount. And I think I'm going to have to turn it in for hyper tuning because I tried playing with the little motors and it's got a what do you call it, a belt drive on the two motors. And you're
Yeah.
supposed to get a little bit of slop between the worm and the main gear.
Yeah.
And it has a time where it'll sound like it's grinding as it's turning from one side to the other. It's like, oh my God. So I'm afraid to go too far with it. I think should turn it in for a hyper tune, spend $500 and
Wow.
somebody to improve all the bearings and things.
Yeah. And you got all the balance okay on the
You know,
scope?
really
Okay.
well balanced, and it still does this grind. And it's like what I'll do is I'll try to put all the weight on it, my C11 and my 80 millimeter guide scope and big lens on it. Yes, it's rated for 40, 50 pounds or whatever. And I'll try to tune it one more time, see if I can adjust the worm gear, the little worm, and you got the major gear and how that sits. And there's supposed to be a little bit of give, and I don't know, just scary. So I'm gonna have to do that. I have to do it during the day, I guess, and see what happens, so I can see what's going on out in the driveway.
Yeah, I get a weird thing with a Celestron where, because when I'm using the camera, I want to get it really centered before, like when I'm shooting this video. So I've got Mars in there, but it's a little off, and I do the 5 times or 10 times zoom you can do in the camera, and I'm trying to center the thing, and with the just the hand controls up, down, left, right. When I slew, say to the right, it'll slew, and then I let go and it'll stop. And then if I go left, it'll go left, and I let go of the button, and it slowly keeps going left. You know, it's odd. I mean, Celestron is something in their electronics there where, like, and then to get it to stop, you have to just touch the right to slew in the opposite direction just a tiny bit. But I thought they got something funny going on in their electronics there. So
Well, I don't know if that's part of the backlash or settings that we're supposed to get that properly set.
yeah, that might be it. That might be backlash. I was thinking that too. And I've got a little bit of a heavy setup, so okay. Well, I didn't want to keep you guys too long. Just thought I'd ask those quickly.
Good information. I'm trying to learn a lot myself.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thanks for hosting it. Thanks, you guys.
You bet.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Good night.
Bye now.
Let's see. Blah, 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 blah.